Just Cause is a game series about doing stupid shit just cause you can. It's kind of in the title. So for the sake of nothing in particular, I decided to try and beat the game with the floor as lava. The absolutely classic game we all played as kids, where you try and move around without touching the floor.
The goal is to get from point A to point B as creatively as possible.
Let's go over some rules. Roads and flat landscapes are always lava. Anything above roads and flat landscapes are safe. This includes any kind of physics objects, all the way to rocks and buildings. All vehicles are safe from the lava. Water is also safe, because everyone knows water beats lava. This is an objective fact, please do not Google it. When regaining control from cutscenes or other scripted events, I will be considered safe, provided I don't move. And finally, I will be allowing clipping through physics objects when interacting, as long as Rico returns to the top of them afterwards. The run begins with surfing on a plane, and it goes about as well as a lanky blue fella rushing machine guns. Luckily, the game makes me parachute before I hit the lava and allows me to glide through the tunnel. I struggle with the reeling mechanic, but do eventually manage to get it under control and trigger the cutscene, where Mario tells me we've got to go.
Here we go!
I safely spawn and grapple on the car roof and drive to reach the rebels using the stunt mechanic to get on top of my car and grapple to the tank. I spawn and get bamboozled by the current objective, which doesn't exist. I restart and grapple on top. Unfortunately, helicopters are one of the only vehicles in the game where you can't hop in from on top. I wonder why. I fall to the ground, trying to get as close to the door as possible, and restart again. I try parking a car up against it and get close to the door, but the get in button just puts me back in the car. Next, I try pushing the helicopter with the car to a nearby rock, and it explodes. I try again more gently, but receive the same result. I use my gun to push a tire to the door, where I plan to stand, and grapple to the helicopter, which conveniently, perfectly tilts it to allow me in. Unfortunately, it falls the wrong way and explodes. I try the same again, but fail to tilt the helicopter enough and fall to my fiery doom. Third time's the charm though, and I head off to help the rebels for a nice super easy section with a minigun on a tower. Side note, whoever did the screen shake on this turret I now have personal beef with. Like, what the fuck is this motion sickness simulator? Thank you for coming to my TED talk, I really appreciate it. I spawn and must now figure out how to get into the next mission trigger box without touching the floor. I try shooting the tire over it to act as a landing platform before eventually missing a grapple. I open the pause menu to restart the checkpoint, but it only exists in missions, so I settle for the next best thing. I respawn about a kilometer away and must drive all the way back.
Gotta go fast! Gotta go fast! Gotta go fast!
Before trying to position the tire again. I get in the correct place and make a leap of faith. I keep trying this strategy for about an hour. Eventually, after getting sick of shooting tires into place, I get an idea.
Light bulb.
I push the tire into place with a car and realize I can trigger the mission from inside the vehicle. I begin the mission and parachute up to the next cutscene trigger, which is thankfully accessible from a nearby roof. I then unlock the ability to move things with the grapple hook and use barrels to blow up the outpost. I trigger the next cutscene, with a close flyby and unlock the wingsuit that I used to gracefully plunge into the lava. I steal a car and try and plant the bridge mines, but it's slightly too far away. With some more accurate parking and the removal of the bonnet, I am able to plant the mines. I spend some time missing the progression trigger, but do eventually get it and perch on this roof. I fall into the lava a few times, but eventually land successfully and drag some tyres over to the AA control buttons, and grapple onto it, causing it to move away. I repeat the previous steps, but this time drive a car over and hop onto the tyres, which is successful.
Great success.
I move on to the next one and don't have enough time to formulate a plan. On the follow-up attempt, I beeline to the second one to figure out my strats. I find a raised section of rock and try and pull the Sam over to me.
And I love it when a plan comes together.
It takes me a handful of tries to get it within the time limit, but eventually do, with a pretty comfortable 15 seconds remaining. I liberate the nearby town by hopping around on the rooftops, and find a hefty umbrella I fumble around with for about 10 minutes before being able to raise the flag. Easy peasy. The next mission is easy. I just steal a bike and drive it to the garage, and I realise in editing, its foot touches the floor when stationary. It would be an easy fix to just slowly drive around the box, so we let it slide. Don't tell anyone. I grab the beacon, climb to the roof and call it in. Then I fly to the next liberation area, which is pretty much the same as the last with the exception of these generator buttons that I drag tyres over to. I move on to the next mission and grab a car to begin.
I use this to destroy this
And farm the prison from the control tower. I steal a helicopter to defend Mario, and as it goes down, I land on another helicopter? Pretty sure that's not how helicopters work. But we move. I try grappling onto another helicopter, but I'm blown out of the sky and am unable to recover in time. I get caught up in a helicopter 1v1 and end up in a race against time. This time the initial helicopter gets me a lot further. It does get shot down though, and I am forced to get a new one. I managed to get a checkpoint though, so I ride Mario's car. I try to take out a tank, but I'm blown into the stratosphere. On the follow-up, we make it to the town, and that is that. The next mission trigger is a secluded area that is hard to reach with vehicles. The first idea is to call in a rebel drop, but I wasted my beacon earlier. Then I collect a nearby helicopter and try and land it in the narrow gap.
armed and dangerous.
I go on a side quest to find a car, which I do, and now must make the treacherous path back. I drag it through the water and eventually
arrived at your destination.
I move the boat and fast travel to Mania. Easy mission. Up next is conflicting interests. I drag a boat onto the trigger and wiggle about until it accepts me. I fly about checking the crates and use the blown off doors to hop inside. I rob a helicopter and fly to the grate, wingsuit from the heat and reach Shelly. The liberation distracts me and I quickly take care of that before moving on. I get distracted again, but I'm able to take out 90% of the base from sky high. After thinking I got through that pretty quickly, I end up wasting about 20 minutes looking for the last few, before learning it shows you where they are on the map. I try to bring Mario a military vehicle and get pranked by the grappling hook. Second time's the charm though. I ride under the belly of a helicopter and escort my allies, which is all smooth sailing to the end of the mission. I grind out liberations for about an hour and a half, and die a fair bit in the process, but it's simple enough. 90% wreaking havoc, and 10% dragging crap to the occasional interactable. I'm then allowed to move on to the secret of Viz Electra. I follow some pipes, sink some boats, and swim through some caves. I begin dragging some nearby pallets to the door controller, but they are extremely fragile and despawn once broken. so I make a platform out of bodies.
Nice.
I destroy the generators and dip. Time for Missile Cowboy. I reach the site and all the tires are outside of the mission area, so I get creative, trying new objects out and eventually stumble onto the walkway metal sheets, which are even better than the tires, as they are much thinner and easier to trigger interactables from. I destroy these very actively dangerous vehicles and crash into a tank, managing to remain atop. The game then politely informs me that it made a mistake. I proceed to ride a large missile and let out a similarly sized moan. The next mission is tons of fun, 10 out of 10. I really wanted to spend 10 minutes driving carefully in my game about blowing up towns. Haha, good prank, devs.
Get the fuck out of here!
I drag this car over the castle wall and begin connect the dots. I parkour into the chopper and sink some boats. I become the captain of a rebel ship.
I'm the captain now.
And make some scenic stops along the river. I spot a special looking mission on the map with wings and decide to check it out. The mission starts and it opens with a Black Ops 2 zombies loading screen. You know what I'm talking about.
Barely understand.
I get some nutty jetpack thing and now...
I am Iron Man.
And just like Iron Man, I start off very bad at flying. I then land perfectly on a platform without even falling over. Anyway, back to the main story. Time to steal a force field tank, whose force fields delay me for about half a second. Definitely worth the hundreds of millions in research to develop. And yeah, that's the mission. What are they gonna do now? I have a force field tank. I start the next mission by trying to make the whole world sick. I reach the overlook and remove the reinforcements. I ride the bottom of the helicopter and am betrayed by my teammates.
Betrayal.
After that, I decide I will get my own helicopter, and to no one's surprise, it goes much smoother. Time for a long and dangerous road. It begins with a very considerate car placement. Very nice. We get ambushed under a bridge by hella incompetent soldiers. The two vehicles behind me have a quick existential crisis before deciding to catch up. I get absolutely eviscerated in the next fight. I jack the helicopter, drop the remaining enemies, and fail to fly through a tunnel. I'm peacefully minding my own business when a tank rocks up and knocks me clean off my car, but this time I manage to clutch up. I get jealous of the enemy's sick airtime and show them what real airtime looks like.
Looks like we're blasting off again!
I go back to riding my teammates, steal another helicopter, and redeem myself driving it through the tunnel. Finally, we detonate the EMP and complete the mission. I try to start abandoned ship, but first must teach a quad bike how to be Spider-Man. The mission is simple enough, and I just bounce around some boats, steal some helicopters, press a button, and take out the enemy forces. Time for more liberation grinding. The next mission is another pipe chaser. I collect my and realize I didn't need to do that. Oh well, Corn will be pleased. My grapple hook switches it up, and instead of pranking me, decides to rage bait me this time.
Man, I'm gonna I'm gonna break my monitor, I swear.
I blow up the generators and dip. I need some new words, mate. How does one describe the same thing over and over without saying the same words? I liberate the military base, helicopter go brrr, then I fumble around with corrugated metal for 5 minutes. Before meeting Dimmer. Holy shit, who made Google Translate this horny? I helped the rebel plane get to safety, getting my own jet to reach the battlefield, and bomb myself while trying to bomb my teammates. I beached the boat, why they needed help with that is beyond me, and enter the next base. I don't want to say the G word anymore, so have a montage.
That's it.
I trick shot the Rico is the Rose mission, get my jet, and get completely outpaced by all the other jets, despite being at my max speed. Rosa gets annihilated. Then on the next try, I catch up? Yeah mate, don't ask me. I then toss, presumably, Rosa to her death, or maybe it's a delivery for Rosa. And that was just some random poor delivery guy. Oh well, who cares about them? I proceed to land the plane like a professional pilot and everyone starts cheering. I do the equivalent of driving to your local corner shop, catch the train and yank some helis. I switch on the rockets, which would have been good as a first thing to do on the train, but oh well, better now than never. I destroy the bridge and cinema roll for dramatic effect. I hit the funkiest mission start yet, drive a car into a prison, pile up the bodies, and hit a strafing run. I learn the vehicle machine guns are actually hit scan, despite looking like projectiles, which is not important, but I thought it was interesting. Fun facts. The cluster rocket does cluster rocket things. And the plane goes down. I steal a plane and cannot hit the enemy to save my life.
What are you aiming at? What are you aiming at?
I bail out and do the things the old-fashioned way, which gets the job done. Up next, I defend some cargo. Granted, not very well, as the enemies managed to destroy it a few times. But eventually, I'm tasked with taking out a helicopter. Bro could have easily grappled onto it in the cutscene, but they decided to make me chase it. Jokes on them though, they also gave me a jetpack. After some more liberation grinding, I reached the final stretch. The next mission begins with a super unique mechanic, following pipes. But at least they switched out the word generators for command nodes, despite them looking exactly the same. I arrive at the final required military base, and the special mega helicopter pops his force field in a panic, failing to do anything other than make a fool of himself. I crash the mega heli into a wall so the previous geezer doesn't feel so bad. Then I just fly around the base shooting missiles and occasionally swapping helicopters, earning myself a nice achievement for making it easier than it normally would be. I give a short escort and finally get the hang of evading missiles, until I don't. I fly to the command tower and watch my homie die. Not really sure why she couldn't just hold on. The grapple hook can literally lift cars.
You didn't have to cut me off.
So I swear some vengeance and make my way to the most fitting arena of the challenge run. I take a quick lava bath and reset the fight to be done proper. Unfortunately, this fight is mega underwhelming and only takes 4 shots spaced between force fields to end. I blast him and for some reason he looks shocked. And bosh, that's that. Surprisingly, you actually can beat Just Cause 3 without touching the ground, due to all the interesting movement methods and being able to pull objects around with the grappling hook. Thanks for watching. You cool. Peace.